All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We've all been there, right? You unbox a brand new phone, it's snappy, the screen is gorgeous, and the battery literally seems to last for days. But fast forward exactly 1 year, and suddenly, you're desperately searching for a charger before dinner. The device still opens apps perfectly fine, it still looks completely pristine on the outside, but mysteriously, it just completely dies by 4 p.m. It's a universal frustration that drives us all absolutely crazy. So why is it dead by 4 p.m.? Well, first off, I just want to validate exactly what you're experiencing. It is not your imagination, you aren't crazy, and you're not just using your phone more than you used to. But what's actually happening inside that sleek little metal and glass rectangle? It's kind of a fascinating mystery, honestly, because a battery doesn't wear out in the traditional sense. It's not like the soles of your shoes wearing down from rubbing against the pavement. Something much, much weirder is taking place. Just think about a brand new phone sitting pretty at 100% battery health, compared to that exact same model a year later, struggling at, say, 82% battery health. As I mentioned, a battery doesn't mechanically wear down. Instead, it undergoes a transformation. It changes literally atom by atom on a microscopic level every single time you plug it into the wall. To really grasp why this happens, we need to look under the hood. Let's start with part 1, inside the core chemistry. We're going to shrink ourselves down and dive deep into the invisible world of lithium-ion batteries. This is the exact chemical technology powering almost every modern device you own, from your phone all the way to electric cars. Picture your phone's battery as 2 bustling train stations. These are your electrodes, the anode and the cathode. The lithium ions, they're the commuters. Step 1. When you charge your phone, you're forcing these ion commuters to pack up and move from one train station to the other, where they get stored. Step 2. When you unplug and actually use your phone to scroll social media, those ions flow back to their home station, releasing energy as they travel. Simple enough, right? But step 3 is where the degradation happens. Because over time, tiny structural changes occur with every single trip. The crucial point here is that these microscopic atomic trips aren't perfect. Every time those ions commute back and forth, tiny, rough, crystal-like cracks form on the surface of the electrodes. This creates what scientists call the SEI layer. It's a thin film that builds up and physically thickens on the electrode surface during those charge cycles. And here is the kicker. Eventually, some of your lithium-ion commuters get caught in this thickening film. They get physically trapped in the gunk, meaning they can literally never make the return trip again. To put that into perspective, by cycle 500, so many ions have been trapped by that thickened SEI layer that your total available capacity has shrunk down to 80%. On day 1, you had 100% of your commuters making the trip freely, which was your maximum energy capacity. But now, the battery physically cannot hold the same amount of energy it did when you bought it, because those trapped ions just aren't available to carry the charge anymore. It just quietly shrinks. Now, chemistry is going to do what chemistry does. We can't stop the passage of time or the fundamental laws of physics, but we absolutely can influence the speed of the process. That brings us to part 2, accelerators of degradation. There are 3 primary villains in our story that act as massive stressors on our microscopic train stations, essentially causing those walls to crumble way faster than they need to. These are heat, living at extremes, and constant fast charging. These environmental factors and daily habits significantly speed up the chemical breakdown and the rapid thickening of that SEI layer inside your phone. So let's break each of these down one by one so you know exactly what you're up against on a daily basis. Let's start with the absolute worst offender, heat. Heat is literally the #1 enemy of your battery's lifespan. Batteries absolutely hate being hot. When you leave your phone sitting on the dashboard of a hot car in the dead of summer, or when you let it bake in your hands playing an intense video game while it's plugged into the wall, that heat acts like a powerful catalyst. It rapidly accelerates the chemical breakdown and those destructive side reactions inside the electrodes. Then we have our next villain, the number 100, as in 100% battery charge. Look, we all love seeing that full, reassuring green bar at the top of our screen, for sure. But keeping your phone constantly sitting at absolute maximum charge is actually incredibly stressful for the battery chemistry. Think about eating until you're absolutely stuffed, and then someone forces you to just sit rigidly at the table. That high voltage state applies constant, unnecessary mechanical stress to the electrodes. And on the complete flip side, we have 0, the exact opposite extreme. Regularly draining your battery until it is completely, entirely dead and the phone forces a shutdown is equally stressful. When a lithium-ion battery is fully depleted, the internal chemistry becomes highly unstable. So constantly bouncing between the 0% and that 100% extreme is basically putting your microscopic train stations through daily earthquakes. Which brings us to the 3rd accelerator, fast charging. Now, occasional fast charging is totally fine, but as your only method, it really adds up. I want to be crystal clear here. Fast charging tech is not inherently evil. But when you push massive, rapid jolts of energy into a battery quickly, it naturally generates excess heat. And what did we just learn? Heat is the absolute #1 enemy. If you only ever fast charge, all that extra heat and stress compounds over time, degrading your battery noticeably faster. All right, enough doom and gloom about dying batteries and crumbling train stations. Let's pivot to part 3, actionable battery savers. The fantastic news here is that you actually have a lot of control. These are simple, incredibly effective lifestyle adjustments you can start using today to protect your battery chemistry and keep those ions commuting happily. First, keep it cool. It sounds too simple, but if your phone feels hot to the touch while charging, just take off that thick rubber case so the heat can properly escape. Second, try to stay in that 20% to 80% middle zone. You don't have to be obsessive about it, but avoiding the extreme stress of absolute 0 and absolute 100% does wonders. And third, use your phone's built-in optimized charging settings. I want to double down on that last point because it is an absolute game changer. Most modern phones actually have a built-in optimized charging feature that learns your routine. You literally just toggle this on in your settings menu and forget about it. What it does is brilliantly simple. It pauses your charge at 80% overnight while you sleep. Then, right before it knows your alarm is going to go off, it trickles in that last 20%. This actively prevents your phone from sitting stressed out at a high voltage 100% for 8 hours straight. Now I want to take a quick second to vigorously bust a very persistent myth. You are absolutely told to drain old nickel batteries to 0% to avoid battery memory. But modern lithium-ion batteries, they prefer to stay in that 20 to 80% sweet spot. So many people still believe they need to let their modern smartphone die completely before plugging it in. That advice is leftover from decades-old nickel-based chemistry. For your modern lithium-ion phone, full drains are actively harming the battery. The crucial thing to remember is that lithium-ion batteries prefer gentle, mid-range top-ups over those dramatic swings. Your battery will actually thank you much more if you just plug it in for 20 minutes here and there while you're at your desk or doing a short drive, rather than letting it die and executing a massive 0 to 100% supercharge. Gentle, mid-range top-ups keep the mechanical stress incredibly low and the chemistry super happy. And this brings us to the tangible payoff of everything we've covered in this explainer, replacing your battery in just 1 year versus replacing it in 3 years. Look, we can't stop chemistry entirely. That SEI layer will slowly build up and ions will eventually get trapped. That's just an unavoidable fact of physics. But by managing heat, utilizing smart software features, and avoiding extreme charges, these tiny, effortless daily habits can literally triple your battery's healthy lifespan. That saves you money, and more importantly, it saves you from that dreadful 4 p.m. dead phone anxiety. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought. Is fast charging actually as risky as people say? We know it creates heat, but just how much damage is that massive 100-watt charging brick really doing to your device's delicate internals over the long haul? We'll be cracking open the exact science of hyperfast charging in our next explainer. So if you want to find out the truth behind the bricks, make sure you hit subscribe, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.